Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers jaywalking, identifications, and pretextual stops, and is brought to us by James Madison Audits' channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Raycon. The most exciting thing about Black Friday is getting a deal you wouldn't normally find. But with Raycon, you don't have to wait for Black Friday to score an incredible deal. Raycon offers premium audio at an unbeatable price every day of the year. But right now, they're doubling down on their already amazing value by giving you up to 30% off site-wide for Black Friday. One of the best deals you'll find this Black Friday is Raycon's everyday earbuds, which are packed with features that make them a must-have for any audio lover. They offer an impressive 32-hour battery life, so you never have to worry about constantly recharging. Plus, they come with multi-point connectivity, meaning you can pair them with two devices at once. Whether you're switching between your phone and laptop or listening to a podcast while working out, Raycon's got you covered. Personally, I love their active noise cancellation, which is perfect for staying focused while editing videos or traveling. And the best part? Raycons are half the price of other premium brands, so you're already saving big. Then factor in the Black Friday deal, and it's a no-brainer. The everyday earbuds also come in a variety of colors, and I'm loving my pair in royal blue, which adds a nice pop of personality. With Raycon's 30-day happiness guarantee, you've got nothing to lose, and now is the perfect time to grab yours. Don't wait. Head over to buyraycon.com/audit to get up to 30% off site-wide. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this episode. On October 23, 2020, Sergeant Jeremy Bird of the Port Orange Police Department in Florida received a text message from Officer Andre Fleming informing him that City Councilman Drew Bastian had called him to report seeing an individual dressed in quote-unquote all black trying to film over a wall located on the perimeter of the Port Orange Police Department. According to his police report, Sergeant Bird sent Officer Preston, Officer Yovanovich, and Acting Sergeant Kurtz to attempt to locate the quote-unquote subject, who was later identified as James Newmeyer, a local citizen who had visited the police department to attempt to file an officer complaint. Somehow, the responding officers came to believe that Mr. Newmeyer was reported as trying to climb over the wall, and the interaction that followed was captured on body camera.
Somebody's supposedly climbing our wall with a mask on over here. Andre called it in. Yeah, over here. Somewhere on this wall on Clyde, he said. Andre called it in. See anything?
There's a guy walking on the sidewalk. He has a mask on. He's just texting.
In black?
Black pants, black shirt, Caucasian.
Okay. I think that's the guy he was saying was trying to climb our wall there. Because Andre saw it, so. 12 to 15.
Go ahead.
Hey, I guess he's walking southbound on Clyde. Next to the PD now. Dressed all in black. Supposedly he's walking down this way.
He's walking north.
So.
Charlie 90 Patrol, take the McDonald's call.
Hello. Hey, were you trying to come over our wall here?
Hell no. Do I look stupid?
No? We'll get you for 1 second because we had a call of a guy dressed in black that was climbing up on one of our walls there.
Hell no. Ain't you guys got cameras?
Uh-huh. Do you have an ID card with you? Let me call. I'll call Fleming. Hey, Sarge. Can you call Fleming? Who messaged? Where did Fleming mess? Who did he message? What's that? Was that you?
Yeah.
Well, we're out with the guy dressed in black that's running right along here, so.
He said he had a citizen call.
Oh, so he didn't see it?
No, he didn't.
Jesus Christ.
All right, yeah, I think I'm going to have to go to court next week.
All right. Well, great. I thought he saw.
Oh, he's doing it like that.
Yeah. All right.
He's refusing to give his name or any information.
Hey, I don't like cops. I don't talk to cops. I don't deal with cops. I was minding my business, looking at my phone, walking down the sidewalk, and I was stopped.
Freely, he stated to me that he was inside the lobby trying to make an officer complaint.
Okay.
Figured out it was closed, so he left the office, or I'm sorry, the lobby, and came onto the road. I'm sorry, the sidewalk and came this way. So he was trying to make a complaint, but
Okay. Well, I can help you with that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't. I'll be here Monday through Friday during business hours to talk to a supervisor.
I am the supervisor.
I don't care.
Well, that's If you want to make an officer complaint, I'm the guy to talk to.
Put it in writing. You ain't gonna do nothing. You protect your
Sir,
blue
he's a
line
sergeant.
brothers. I don't care. You're like blue line brothers. He ain't gonna do.
Say what?
I said you protect your blue line brothers. You ain't gonna do.
Based on what?
Based on police. That's what's based on.
You don't know me.
Based on I don't need to know you. You're a blue line. That's all you are to me.
Okay.
You don't give a damn about nobody but your other blue line people.
So we're
Okay.
trying to.
All right.
You ain't trying to help me do. Right now you're harassing me on the side of the road. Am I being detained or am I free to leave?
You're free to go.
Thank you. Oh, y'all.
Keep an eye on him as he... Look up. He's wearing an auto shirt. See if anything happened.
Oh, we
there.
have. Oh, this guy?
Yeah, because we don't even have him ID. We don't have any...
He wouldn't give ID.
No. But he's wearing an shirt, so we can probably figure out who he is.
Do you know if he's parked in the front parking lot or anything like that?
I don't know. You want to go? Preston. Go to the... See if he's got a tag on the car in the parking lot. Now you're detained for jaywalking. Running across Clyde Morris like that.
How else am I going to cross?
That's what crosswalks are for.
There isn't a crosswalk within 150 feet. I know you cross at a
Well, now you're
90-degree
detained.
angle when there's no crosswalks within 150 feet.
You're detained,
You're illegally detaining me.
and now you have to identify yourself.
No, I don't. I want a supervisor.
I am the
I
supervisor.
want your supervisor. I didn't do anything wrong. I committed no crimes. I am not giving you my ID.
Sergeant Byrd tells Mr. Newmeyer that he must give identification because he is being detained for jaywalking, and Mr. Newmeyer refuses. The term jaywalking is not used in the Florida statutes, and Section 316.130 of the Florida statutes, which outlines pedestrian traffic regulations, actually allows pedestrians to cross a roadway outside of a crosswalk as long as they use, now quoting, a route at right angles to the curb or by the shortest route to the opposite curb. There is an exception to this general rule, as the statute does prohibit pedestrians from crossing at any place except a marked crosswalk between adjacent intersections at which traffic signals are in operation. The statute also requires every pedestrian crossing a roadway at any point other than a crosswalk to yield the right-of-way to all vehicles upon the roadway. A review of the Google Maps Street View confirms that Mr. Newmeyer did not cross the street between adjacent intersections at which traffic lights were in operation. So, in order to lawfully detain Mr. Newmeyer on suspicion of jaywalking, Sergeant Byrd would need to have reason to believe that Mr. Newmeyer failed to yield the right-of-way to vehicles on the roadway. In his police report, Sergeant Byrd stated that he drove out of the police department and was traveling south when he saw Mr. Newmeyer crossing the street. Sergeant Byrd wrote, quote, "As I was approaching, I slowed my speed at an estimated distance of 30 to 40 yards as it was dusk and I could not see him well in an effort not to strike him. However, Sergeant Byrd's body camera footage does not capture Mr. Newmeyer crossing the road and shows that Sergeant Byrd made several U-turns before stopping Mr. Newmeyer. I cannot tell for certain from the footage whether Sergeant Byrd had to slow his vehicle to avoid hitting Mr. Newmeyer, but Sergeant Byrd's body camera did not capture any evidence that supports the theory that Mr. Newmeyer failed to yield the right-of-way to vehicles in the road. As to whether Mr. Newmeyer was required to identify himself, according to Section 901.151 of the Florida statutes, which codifies the so-called Florida Stop and Frisk Law, quote, "Whenever any law enforcement officer encounters any person under circumstances which reasonably indicate that such person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a violation of the criminal laws of this state or the criminal ordinances of any municipality or county, the officer may temporarily detain such person for the purpose of ascertaining the identity of the person temporarily detained and the circumstances surrounding the person's presence abroad which led the officer to believe that the person had committed, was committing, or was about to commit a criminal offense." Now, although the statute states that officers must have reasonable suspicion that an individual violated a criminal law, and violations of Section 316.130 are considered non-criminal traffic infractions, the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida held in the 2008 case of Copeland versus Bradenton Police Department that an officer was justified under the stop and frisk law in detaining an individual based on an observed violation of Section 316.130. As such, if a court determined that if reasonable suspicion existed for the officers to believe that Mr. Newmeyer failed to yield the right-of-way to passing vehicles, it is likely that it would also conclude that the officers could require him to identify himself.
Jaywalking is a traffic infraction. Jaywalking is a traffic infraction
I didn't jaywalk.
for which you are lawfully detained.
I didn't jaywalk.
Actually,
You're unlawfully detaining me. I did not jaywalk.
I actually saw you
There is-
myself.
No,
so.
yes, I understand that.
I
You're
saw you
allo-
from- I saw you
you
from the
are
parking lot
allowed
over
to
here.
cross the street if there is not an intersection within 150 feet. You're allowed to
Not
cross
with
the
traffic
street
coming.
at a 90-degree angle. There was no traffic
There's a
coming.
lot of
You were the
traffic.
closest traffic, and you were far enough away from me to make it safely. You guys just want to ID me illegally. So go ahead. If that's really what you want to do, take my wallet. Because Terry v. Ohio says you're not allowed to dig into my pockets without a reason. So if you really want to have a lawsuit filed against you, go ahead. I will sue you.
All right, so
I got him.
if you don't identify yourself,
Go ahead, take my wallet. It's right
will
there.
be- you
Take
will
my
be
wallet
under
out
arrest.
of my pocket.
okay.
I'm telling you, go ahead, take
Take
my
his-
wallet out of
take
my
his wallet.
pocket. That's illegal. You're breaking my rights right now. You're violating my rights. That's a violation. You're not allowed to go in my pockets and take my wallet without reasonable
You
suspicion.
just told us to.
No, I
just said that.
You're
You just-
threatening
you
me
just
with
said
arrest.
that.
That's done under duress. You are threatening me with arrest.
That's correct, I am.
Sergeant Byrd claims that the officers took Mr. Newmeyer's identification with his consent, and Mr. Newmeyer argues that he only agreed under threat of arrest. As we have discussed before on ATA, the Supreme Court stated in the 1991 case of Florida versus Bostic that, quote, even when officers have no basis for suspecting a particular individual, they may generally ask to examine the individual's identification, as long as the police do not convey a message that compliance with their requests is required. This means that when an officer requests to see an individual's identification and the citizen voluntarily consents to the examination, there is no Fourth Amendment violation, even when the officer does not have the reasonable suspicion to non-consensually detain the citizen. However, as the Supreme Court explained in the 1973 case of Schneckloth versus Bustamante, quote, the Fourth and 14th Amendments require that a consent not be coerced by explicit or implicit means, by implied threat or covert force. For no matter how subtly the coercion was applied, the resulting consent would be no more than a pretext for the unjustified police intrusion against which the Fourth Amendment is directed. Applying this principle, the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida noted in the 2022 case of United States versus Chavez that, quote, where the threat of arrest is unjustified and amounts to a misrepresentation by a law enforcement officer, at least one court has determined that providing consent in exchange for avoiding arrest can render the consent involuntary. Now, in this situation, although Mr. Newmeyer did tell the officers that they could take his identification, he only did so after he was threatened with arrest for failure to ID. Therefore, if a court concluded that the officers did not have the reasonable suspicion necessary to detain and identify Mr. Newmeyer, it would likely also find that the threat of arrest was unjustified, making any consent received from Mr. Newmeyer involuntary.
No, you're not treating me with respect because you had no right to pull me over. You got no reason to be messing with me. You just heard somebody called and probably didn't call and said that somebody looked over your wall over there, and now y'all feel violated and you want to come punish somebody. So that's why we're here right now going through this. No, yeah, and you would have never said a damn word.
Go ahead and take the cuffs off. We'll cite him for jaywalking and he can move on.
And I want all your name and badge numbers.
That's fine.
You have no legal right to detain me right now.
Okay.
You think I don't do this all the time? I know exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
You cannot write me a ticket for jaywalking if I'm over 150 feet away from a crosswalk. You know that. You're only doing this to force my ID. That's the only reason you're doing this, because you're a punk. You want to know my name, so you're going to get it one way or the other, no matter how you have to do it, because you're a tyrant.
I didn't make you run across the road.
You're a tyrant. You know what the laws are. You know I didn't break no laws.
I didn't make you run across the road.
You know I didn't break no laws.
Mr. Newmeyer argues that the officers only stopped him because they wanted to force him to identify himself. As we have discussed before here on ATA, the Supreme Court has repeatedly stated that an officer's subjective motivations are irrelevant to the analysis of whether a seizure violates the Fourth Amendment. Instead, courts must determine whether a seizure is quote-unquote objectively reasonable under the totality of the circumstances. In this situation, this means that if a court concluded that the officers had objective reasonable suspicion to believe that Mr. Mr. Neumeier had committed a pedestrian violation, it would likely also find that it was constitutionally reasonable to detain and identify him, even if the detention was entirely a pretext for the officers' actual stated goal of learning Mr. Neumeier's name. On the other hand, because reasonable suspicion is required for a seizure and identification to be constitutional, if a court determined that the officers did not have reasonable suspicion to stop Mr. Neumeier, it would also likely find that his detention and identification violated the Fourth Amendment.
Cite?
Ain't nothing wrong with me. I ain't no psych. I'm perfectly, totally sane,
Cite.
dude.
Citation.
Okay. I'll see all of you in court for it, too, because I ain't do nothing wrong.
That's fine.
I am legally allowed to cross the street if I'm more than 150 feet from an intersection and I cross at a 90-degree angle. That is the law. You have no right.
Not with
the
cars
only
coming.
reason that you are doing this is so
Okay.
you can force me to give you my name. That's why people don't like me. You're the reason you're not getting it.
Just go ahead and issue it.
Okay.
Where did he cross at? 'Cause I saw
Right
him
at the
here, but I didn't see.
right at the PV.
Okay. Just not at a 90-degree angle, or what was?
No, there was cars coming. I had to hit the brakes,
Oh, okay.
and there was other cars behind me.
Okay. What are you doing for impeding traffic or jaywalking?
Jaywalking.
Because I know there's two different. Looking it up now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It says every pedestrian crossing a roadway at any point other than a marked crosswalk or within an unmarked crosswalk at any intersection shall yield right of way to all vehicles upon roadway.
What did you say when he was looking at the PD?
He wouldn't tell us. He said something about filing a complaint, so I offered to help him with that.
I mean, nobody could see it, but didn't Andre see it?
A citizen called him.
Oh, I thought he was the fault. I thought
No,
you saw it.
no.
Oh, okay.
Who is this guy?
John Neumeier. I've never seen him.
Do an FI card as well as the site. He's doing the site, but can you do the FI card?
So exactly what am I being detained for?
I already told you.
You want to tell me again? For
Jaywalking.
Yeah, jaywalking. I was well over 150 feet from the closest intersection, wasn't I?
You have to yield right away to vehicles
I
on the
yielded
road.
Right away. There were no cars on the road. You were the closest car, and you were 300 yards away from me. So don't even try that.
Okay.
You know damn well this ain't gonna fly. You just wanted to force me to tell you my name. I refused to ID myself down the street, and now you want to force me to tell you my name. Guess what? It don't matter. I'm gonna be out here tomorrow. I'm gonna be out here the day after. I'm gonna be out here the day after. I'm gonna be out here every day.
Okay. I don't got a problem with
I'm
that.
gonna show you tyrants what's up. I didn't do a damn thing wrong, and you know it.
That's not true.
You know full well I didn't do nothing wrong. I was well over 150 feet from the intersection. I crossed at a 90-degree angle, and there was no traffic coming. You're a liar.
Says you, but that's not true.
Well, yeah, who's gonna believe me over a blue line thug gang member like you? You don't give a damn about the citizens. You're nothing but a money generator. All you do is generate funds for the city and state. You're a revenue generator. That's all you'll ever be. And you're
Okay, you good with him?
Yeah.
All right, here you go, sir. All right, 64.50.
I don't need anything from you.
I explained something to you.
I don't
You got
need
30
anything
days
from
to
you.
either
I
pay or
don't need
contest in
anything
court.
from you. I'm contesting it. I don't need from you. All of you. You.
After the encounter, Mr. Neumeier challenged the pedestrian citation in court, and he reported that a judge found him guilty. However, the court records are not publicly available online for me to confirm the resolution of his case. It is unknown whether Mr. Neumeier appealed his conviction, filed a complaint, or pursued legal action against Sergeant Byrd and the Port Orange officers. Overall, Sergeant Byrd and the Port Orange officers get a C at best, because although they maintained calm and professional demeanors throughout the encounter, they either conducted a pretextual stop on Mr. Newmeyer in order to force him to identify himself, or lied about Mr. Newmeyer's conduct in order to justify a Fourth Amendment seizure. While Sergeant Bird's body camera footage suggests that he did not actually have to slow down to avoid hitting Mr. Newmeyer, the camera did not capture enough of the road to determine definitively whether or not Mr. Newmeyer failed to yield the right-of-way to passing traffic. However, if Sergeant Bird actually did falsify testimony in order to detain Mr. Newmeyer, well, then he and the officer certainly deserve an F. It is unclear why the officers became so concerned with identifying Mr. Newmeyer for simply filming in the area near the police department, and it raises the possibility that the officers' reaction had something to do with the fact that Mr. Newmeyer was attempting to file an officer complaint. On the whole, this encounter demonstrates the way that authority to conduct pretextual stops can allow officers to target citizens for reasons other than their stated intentions, such as obtaining an identification. Mr. Newmeyer gets an A for refusing to identify himself when he was not legally obligated to do so, verbally challenging a potentially illegal detention while complying with the officer's orders, and fighting the charge against him the right way, in court. Throughout the encounter, Mr. Newmeyer demonstrated a solid understanding of the Fourth Amendment and Florida's pedestrian laws. He also correctly argued that he was permitted to cross mid-street when Sergeant Bird accused him of jaywalking, forcing Sergeant Bird to change his argument and claim that Mr. Newmeyer failed to yield to vehicular traffic. However, it is important to remember that because courts determine reasonable suspicion on an objective basis, a court could still conclude that Sergeant Bird had reasonable suspicion to detain Mr. Newmeyer based on evidence of a failure to yield, even if that evidence did not influence his actual reasoning for the initial seizure. I cannot say for certain whether or not the stop was legally justified, but I commend Mr. Newmeyer for advocating for his rights and voicing his dissent to the officers. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.